Hello, it's me again. I got cut off rather abruptly with my video, so I'll continue here. This is part 2 of Are Jehovah's Witnesses Reasonable? I just wanted to add a couple of things about the shunning. We were taught, or witnesses are told, that shunning is a loving provision from Jehovah. But this isn't really reasonable. I remember an account or an experience that I heard several times in the Kingdom Hall and probably read it in the literature. And it was about babies in a neonatal, I don't know if that's the right word, ward in a hospital. And these babies, there'd be like 6 of them in incubators in a room, and the only baby that really thrived was the one at the end of the row by the door, because that is the one that would get the attention from the nursing staff. So, and this was in witness literature, so they know that isolation and having no attention or affection from fellow human beings is detrimental to a person. So they know this, yet they still feel that shunning is a loving provision from Jehovah. They also know that shunning and giving someone the cold shoulder is a manipulative thing to do. Not long ago there was an article in one of the Awake magazines called End the Silent Treatment, and it was aimed at husbands and wives who might use the silent treatment as a way to manipulate their partner to get their own way. So there's the governing body who are responsible for whatever gets printed know that shunning is both detrimental to the human psyche, and it can be used as a form of manipulation, and that's exactly what we see happening with shunning former witnesses. So I just wanted to add that in, that they know full well the harm that's done through shunning. At the end of part 1, I had just been talking about whether it was reasonable to blindly follow the directions from a group of men who admit that they make mistakes with their directions. Yet witnesses still feel that it's more important to obey the directions of these men that's more important than whether what they direct is actually true or not, or reasonable or sound. Sorry, I'm probably getting my words a bit sort of screwed up here, but we think about Jesus' warnings. He warned that there would be disciples, supposed disciples, that would rise up from amidst the Christian congregation and would lead others astray and get followers after themselves. And given these warnings, surely witnesses need to be very discerning about who they follow. They would have to have a good track record. And the organisation really doesn't have a very good track record, with its constantly changing doctrines and flip-flopping, from going from one view to another and then back to the old view. You could hardly call that advancing truth or the light getting brighter. It's really an indication that they just don't really know what they're doing, and they're expecting everyone just to go along with it blindly. But the scriptures really, I'm just thinking of, I think it might be Proverbs or Psalms. It tells us that thinking ability is a safeguard, it's a protection. And in the Christian Greek scriptures we read about the necessity of having soundness of mind. So we shouldn't just blindly follow someone else. We need to use our brains and think. Anyway, I hope I've, made... Anyway, so another area that I wanted to mention about whether witnesses are reasonable or not is on the matter of how they deal with those who have criticism of the organisation, or who have doubts about it, or who even outright oppose it. a reasonable person would be willing to hear the reasons why people would feel that way. Remember the dictionary definition, I've just got it here, says that a reasonable person is agreeable to reason. They are ready to listen to reason. But what we see happening with Jehovah's Witnesses is that if anyone brings up anything that's slightly negative or slightly critical, especially if it's critical of the governing body, they leap into this defensive mode. They, rather than being ready to hear your reasons, they just shut off. They shut you down. They don't want to hear. It's, the hands over the ears and eyes. They don't want to know about it. And that's the way they've been conditioned by the governing body through literature and through talks. Doubt is seen as a bad thing rather than a reasonable thing. And it's actually quite reasonable to have doubts. There's many things in the Bible that cause us doubt because they don't make sense. There are some things that seem contradictory. So it's quite reasonable to have doubts, yet they're taught that doubt is something from Satan, it's a weakness, and you must get it out of your system straight away. It's, to me, that isn't a reasonable response to doubt. And it gets even worse when someone is deemed an apostate by Jehovah's Witnesses. Not only are they not given any opportunity to defend their own opinions, explain the reasons why they perhaps don't agree with something that's taught in the organisation or some policy. They are painted as being truly evil people, rather than being people who've perhaps given a little more thought to something than the average witness, who might just be on autopilot. They are painted as being Satan's helpers in his evil kitchen. Oh, I love that talk from the 2013 convention, the talk on human apostates. That was truly outrageous. So they think of apostates almost in a very superstitious way, like they're little devils racing around with horns, and they're very devious, and they're always plotting and scheming some horrible little thing to hurt the witnesses, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's a very unreasonable idea about those who may oppose or disagree in some way with the organisation. So far from being ready to reason, as it says here, ready to listen to reason and agreeable to reason, they, rather than reasoning, they run the other way. They close their ears off. They don't want to know. So anyone can see that that's not a reasonable reaction to have at all. At the time that I woke up, basically, I was attending the 2013 convention, and at the lunch break on Friday of that convention, I was talking to another sister in my congregation, and I was talking about how there's so much hypocrisy in the organisation, and how the public would see that, and I expressed the feeling or the thought that perhaps this wasn't God's organisation. And that sister, she got all defensive and funny on me, and she packed up her lunch and she ran away in terror. And my daughter and I just stood there with our jaws open, thinking, oh my goodness, what was that? And I sort of recognised really at that point just how unreasonable and how irrational witnesses are conditioned to be. And that was a real eye-opening thing for me and for my daughter as well. So I'm kind of grateful to that sister, because that got the whole thing rolling, where I eventually ended up being disfellowshipped and getting free of that organisation. So anyway, I think Yeah, oh, there's one point. I just looked at my notes on the window. Now this I think is rather outrageous. There was an Awake magazine some years ago where it was talking about rapists, and it said that Jehovah's Witnesses should treat rapists understandingly. And at the time I thought, goodness me, where was the understanding afforded to me when I was doubting the organisation and doubting the legitimacy of the faithful and discreet slave, the governing body? Because I had my reasons. I had good logical reasons why I had lost confidence in them. But where was the understanding afforded to me? There was no understanding. They're more prepared to offer understanding to a rapist than to someone like me who has legitimate reasons for doubting the organisation. So that says a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, crazy. Crazy. I'm glad I'm out of it. So I think that's about all I want to say about reasonableness. So if there are any Jehovah's Witnesses watching, and I hope that some are, and that some of my old friends might be watching, ask yourself, am I really being reasonable? Or am I being irrational? Yeah, after all, the scriptures say, let your reasonableness become known to all men. Are Jehovah's Witnesses known for being reasonable? Well, I don't think so. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for now. Bye.